"What a lovely child!" the Queen Mother exclaimed with delight. "I couldn't have wished for a better choice. The princess is intelligent, exceptionally educated, and so modest. I can already envision the happiness she will bring to my son. Catherine will be a worthy Queen of England." Princess Braganza smiled. She understood little of her mother-in-law's words, but she immediately felt her warmth and approval. By agreeing to this marriage, the Portuguese royal family sincerely believed in a strong political and familial alliance. If only they had known how unhappy the union of Catherine of Braganza and King Charles II would turn out to be. The girl was born in the mid-17th century, when her father held the title of Duke of Braganza. But 2 years later, the Portuguese achieved independence from Spain, and João became king. Catherine became a princess and a sought-after bride for many royal families. Her strict mother, Queen Luisa de Guzmão, kept her daughter away from the palace. Catherine's upbringing and education were entrusted to the nuns of a nearby convent. It was said that throughout her youth, the princess hardly left the convent walls more than a dozen times. But her mother was resolute. The girl must be unpretentious and should not become accustomed to the riches of the court. If she missed a celebration for extra lessons, there was nothing wrong with that. Luisa succeeded in shaping her daughter into what she desired. The girl received a solid education in various subjects and developed qualities befitting her status. The princess maintained a modest demeanor, rarely engaging in conversation, preferring to listen and remain silent. The search for suitors began, and the possibilities were vast. Catherine's hand was sought by one of Austria, the Duke of Beaufort, a direct descendant of Henry IV and his beloved Gabrielle, King Louis XIV of France, and the heir to the English throne. However, at that time, the latter, Charles Stuart, was still in exile. Catherine's mother handled the marriage negotiations, as the king had passed away by then. Once Charles Stuart established himself on the English throne, his suitors were welcomed with enthusiasm. The two nations, England and Portugal, had long been united by common interests. It was time to strengthen this friendship, and although Spain vehemently opposed such a union, the marriage contract was signed. It was time to embark on the journey. Catherine brought with her a lavish dowry of 2 million Portuguese crowns, but what truly mattered was marked on geographical maps rather than packed in chests. Princess Braganza was handing over Bombay and Tangier to the English crown. She instantly enriched the Stuart treasury and opened up southern seas to English ships. It was a brilliant political marriage. As for personal happiness, any princess could only hope for it. After all, she was not being married for that reason. The Queen Mother, Catherine's mother-in-law, was convinced that the young couple would get along. They were both young, attractive, and shared a love for the same books. However, as it turned out, that was not enough. The wedding was celebrated in 2 ways, lavishly and publicly according to Anglican traditions, and modestly and privately in accordance with Catholic rites. Catherine of Braganza was a devout Catholic and had no intention of converting. For this reason, she was denied the primary privilege of her new status. She was not crowned. The festivities, fireworks, and balls surrounding the royal wedding overwhelmed Catherine. Even after the wedding, she prepared to lead a modest life, which was in stark contrast to King Charles II's expectations. Having formed his own court, the English king looked to his cousin, the Sun King, as a model. Thus, misunderstandings began to grow between husband and wife. The king desired entertainment, while Catherine preferred a quiet life. Her stubborn refusal to embrace Anglicanism also worked against her. The language barrier further complicated matters. But the biggest issue was her inability to produce heirs to the throne. The queen felt increasingly alienated in her own realm. Catherine was pregnant 3 times, but each time she was unable to carry the child to term. This took a toll on her mental state to the extent that after one miscarriage, King Charles had to reassure her that she had safely given birth. Had he told her the truth, Catherine would not have been able to bear it. It took time to heal her emotional wounds. And of course, it was Catherine, according to many historians, who introduced the tradition of drinking tea in England. She brought a large supply of dry tea leaves from Portugal and managed to persuade the king to try the beverage. Charles enjoyed the tea, and soon everyone else followed suit. Gradually, the royal drink became quite popular. Catherine drank it, by her own admission, to feel invigorated. After all, she woke up every morning no later than 6 o'clock. After some time, the doctors announced that the queen would have no more children. Courtiers began to persuade the king that a divorce was necessary, but Charles refused to dissolve the marriage. He had long taken many mistresses, and he was perfectly content with the status quo, which is why Catherine of Braganza remained in London. Now, they lived separately. Catherine was not popular at court or among the people. Arriving as an outsider, she remained one, even though she gradually learned English. However, some small changes did occur in the Portuguese princess. She learned to enjoy dancing, loved organizing picnics, and even took up fishing and archery. But the time for her to attract the king's attention had long passed. Meanwhile, he shamelessly brought his mistresses into their bedroom. There's a legend that the queen fainted when she was told that Charles's favorite, Barbara Palmer, would be part of her entourage. No matter what anyone said, Catherine struggled deeply with her husband's infidelities. When Charles fell seriously ill, a reconciliation occurred between the couple. At her husband's deathbed, Catherine asked for his forgiveness for everything she hadn't been able to bring to their marriage. To this, the king passionately replied, "You seek forgiveness? From me? Take back your words. It is I who should be asking for your forgiveness." After her husband's death, Catherine of Braganza lived in England for a while longer, but eventually returned to her homeland in Lisbon. Her family welcomed her warmly, and her brother, the king, even left Catherine as regent when he left the capital. In Portugal, she was no longer an outsider. The English queen passed away in the early 18th century and was buried in one of Lisbon's monasteries. Interestingly, her memory lives on. In New York, the Queen's District in this large city is named in her honor.